quadrants. Who will sell? What will they sell? Who will they sell to and who will buy? And who's going to deliver on what's been sold? So hopefully you've taken into consideration some of the stuff we've discussed in the past, and you have your go-to-market programs built out, pricing and content ready to go. If you don't, that's okay. Or if you have something made up but you're not really sure about it and going to market with it, let us know or let your channel sales representative know, and we'll gladly review it and point you in the right direction along the way to go. After all, that is really what we do. We help our partners to go to market successfully, mapping out your program content, pricing, sales, marketing programs, etc. Our goal really is your success. Today we're going to look at who's going to take the reins and sell for you. Is that going to be you, or will you be leveraging somebody else? If you're leveraging somebody else, who is that going to be? Do you need to hire someone, or are you going to use somebody already within your organization? Do you have a book of business to sell to? Are you looking for new customer acquisition, or are you going to cross-sell or upsell to your existing customer base? We'll be looking closely at the opportunity and what it is. Are you covering all the client's needs, and are you able to fulfill their requirements? Lastly, once you have the deal, how do you properly support it? Avoid the sales trap of over-promising and under-delivering. So word of mouth is a great way for you to get new customers, and it's probably a big part of your new customer acquisition strategy, but what are you missing? Who's going to take the lead? Who do you have already in place today to do the selling? Is that going to be you? When you're ready to go to market, your first hire might need to be a part-time inside sales representative to book appointments for you. Make sure you have your programs built in a way that they can easily manipulate them. You will need to be flexible to meet each and every client's different needs, outlining exactly what you're going to offer to your customers. Your outside sales rep, even if that's yourself, needs to visit the clients and understand their needs. Most of the time, this is a business discussion, and we're going to get into that a little bit more along the way. And rarely does it turn technical, unless, of course, they have an internal IT department. You'll recall we discussed this types of positioning if there's an internal IT department in our Selling Up Market webinar. The MSP business owner should absolutely be involved in the closing of every deal. It brings an enormous amount of value and credibility to you and your organization when the business owner is speaking to business owner. We like to call this your homework slide. Taking a close look at your existing customer base for the opportunity. How did you originally promise to support them, and has anything changed? When was the last time you did a true virtual CIO visit to them and not just an account review? There's a big difference between the two. In fact, it's widely accepted in the MSP world today that account reviews are dead. You aren't doing yourself any favors just going in and validating what you've done since their last meeting. In fact, you'll probably find if that's what you're doing, your customers are going to be canceling those appointments along the way. They just don't see the value in them. You need to continue to have real business discussions. This will open up the opportunity to upsell, as well becoming more entrenched in their business as that trusted advisor. Net new customer acquisition, how will you fill that funnel? What is that number for you on that slide, on the bottom part of this slide where it says new customer programs? There's a number sign there. What is that number to you? And then take a closer look at that type of contract. As you know, 75% of customers are going to be in the essentials a la carte. How many, and 5% are going to be in fully managed, which leaving the other 20% in proactive or preventative maintenance. So how many leads or appointments and closing calls do you really need in order to achieve this magic number that you've set out as your goal over the next year? Typically, for new customer acquisition, you will need to have someone dialing, somebody booking appointments. Again, if that's yourself, that's fine, but you need to generate those first-time appointments. If you are planning to hire or have an inside sales rep, or even possibly leveraging a call center, whatever route you decide to take, you need to give them a list of leads. It's not uncommon for a good inside sales rep to make upwards of 50 dials a day. You need to make sure that you have a good script for them to work off. The inside sales rep will manage a marketing and outbound calling campaign for you, though their ultimate goal will be to book appointments, so face-to-face meetings. They also need to be information gatherers so that when that face-to-face meeting happens, that there's some information there that the outside salesperson is going in armed with about that company. Your inside sales rep will also be that person who's going to scrub your leads with, or if they're making the dials, they're going to be able to determine if that prospect is a good fit. A good place to start, if you're just getting started with your SMB offerings or relaunching and starting with some warm leads, is companies you've already done some sort of work with. So maybe it's a call you've done once over the last 12 months. Maybe it's just someone who has familiarity with you and your business. They'll recognize your company name. At least they know you, right? They'll have some familiarity with your business. They'll hopefully have expectations on the good work and services that you've provided in the past. So warm leads are not only customers that you've done something for in the past, but maybe there's someone who knows someone, right? Maybe it's an acquaintance. Maybe it's someone that you have met along the way, or you will continue to meet through networking. You need to keep that funnel filled, so you need to keep yourself marketing in everything that you're doing. Even if you're doing some sort of event. In fact, you need to have your inside sales populate these for you. One of the best events I ever took part of here at SolarWinds Enable was one of my partners in 2006 in upstate Pennsylvania, a very small town. He did a lunch and learn during the day for the techs of companies that he had associations with. So these guys had internal IT departments. And all he did was talk to them about security. It was more of an education. And he fed them some lunch. He did a draw for an iPod. And if they brought a coworker or someone from another company that was an IT person, they got their name entered in 5 more times to win an iPod. You know, in 2006, that was a pretty big deal, right? That evening, he did the same thing, but for business owners. So he turned the conversation from a technical security to a business security. What is it that they need to be concerned about, which is a very hot topic today even. And he did the same thing with them. He gave away, I think it was an iPod again, I don't remember, but he said, hey, bring a friend, bring an associate, bring someone who has their own business, and your name will go in. And he was able to generate a number of new contacts in there. In fact, he also gained 3 net new contracts right out of the week after that event. So social media as well is a great way for you, your inside salesperson, to do some stealthing for information. You can learn a lot about a business and gain more rapport if you speak to some familiar topics of that decision maker may know, like what university they went to or what hobbies they have. And you can get a lot of that from such things as LinkedIn. It will also help you build the trust and get by that gatekeeper even a little more effectively. Speaking of gatekeepers, that's what they're paid to do. They're paid to keep those gates closed. They are very effective at their jobs most of the time. The inside sales role can actually be quite thankless. You can get 100 or even 1,000 no's, and even get hung up on before you get that one yes. And that one yes is what makes the dials worthwhile. So understand the company. Knowing the size that will help you understand who the gatekeeper is. So for example, in a 10 to 20 user space, there's a really good chance that the person answering the phone is related or deeply entrenched in that company. They could be a relative, a spouse, or a close friend of the owner. So trying to fib or bull your way past will shut you down before you even get started. Whereas in a bigger organization, you need to be ready with a quick elevator pitch. You need to show your value or get an interest within the first 30 seconds of being on the phone with that gatekeeper. You can start to ask questions about hierarchy of the organization if it's a larger organization. Who's in charge of what? Who's in charge of, who's the CIO? Who's in charge of the director of technology if it's a very large organization, et cetera, and who they might suggest you speak with. So knowing the role of who you have been directed to will really help control the conversation as well. So for example, are you speaking with the office manager? Are you speaking with someone in charge of HR? Is the director of sales, marketing, IT director? Each one of these roles is going to be a different type of discussion. So for example, if you're speaking with HR, maybe there's been a high turnover in that organization, or there's some planned growth and they need more help than they ever have in the past. If there's an IT director that you're going to be speaking to, again, this kind of goes back to selling up market, but this IT department is going to be, IT director rather, is going to be looking for something to manage their infrastructure. Chances are they're using many tools and they are looking for a single pane of glass. And you can discuss efficiency as well as headcount, but you better not be talking about to a tech or to a technician there if you're talking about being able to reduce headcount, because then he's going to be concerned about his job. The ultimate goal of the inside salesperson is to book the appointment. Your inside sales rep may not get to the decision maker, but maybe they'll get to someone in there. You may have to have multiple discussions before you actually get to a CEO, controller, or business owner. So don't get intimidated. Their job is not to sell the programs themselves over the phone. Their job is to book the appointment. They might get pushed to provide pricing or discuss specifics about the programs that you're offering. A good inside sales rep will turn this around by discussing the advantages of a meeting with a representative of your company to talk about the customized programs and customized quoting and prices that they do based on the needs of a customer. Lead generation is ongoing. There are many venues to try, and there's many venues that are tried, tested, and true. Many touches may need to happen. We typically call it that 3-touch rule, right? So if you call, you need to maybe pop by and do a visit. You may need to leave a document behind. You may need to recall again. It's typical 3-touch rule before you will break into a meeting one-on-one. There are many things that you can do as well. Like I had a partner who had a long-time client that they were doing services for, and he went in to do his quarterly review. Well, when he got into the office, the business owner was really excited to show his new website. Well, my partner was surprised to hear that the client had a new website, and he was happy that he did, but he was disappointed at the same time because he didn't have the opportunity to bid or offer his services on doing that design of the website. And the reality is that your existing customers don't necessarily know everything that you do. They're not being pushed to go to your website. You need to keep educating them. You need to make sure that they know everything that you offer. And again, that'll come through virtual CIO visits by having those discussions about their business and what they're strategically planning to do. Your own customers are your best source of information. Do you do regular account surveys? During the regular virtual CIO visits, you can ask questions about how to improve yourself as well. Understand, why did they initially buy from you? Are they still satisfied with the services that you provide? Replication of what worked, then you don't need to rewrite history. Regular sales meetings will allow you to internally control the vision and implementation of your programs. Find out what else is working in the industry for your sales reps, and look at having those weekly discussions. We do it here all the time. Keep looking. This is a great time of year to be rubbing elbows. The holiday season brings out many social events and the ability to keep networking. Who knows what your neighbor's brother-in-law's job is? Maybe they know something, or maybe they need something from you. A consultative sales approach is really what the industry is going to. And we're going to talk about this a little bit deeper. You're going to be able to generate more value and more ROI from your prospects or your clients if you show them and entrench yourself in the business. It will ensure that you are more customer focused. This approach will allow you to gain a competitive advantage on the how you sell and not on the what you sell. So having a business discussion is ultimately what we're talking about here. And I love this quote, that most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. So they're looking for the answer, to provide the answer before they understand the entire question. So having that business discussion rather than technical discussion will enable you to position yourself to the right solution to the prospect. If you turn your conversations into discussion about human capital rather than technology, then technology starts becoming consequential and the business value speaks volumes. You are now helping that company understand productivity gains versus employee gains, or rather improving employee revenue per hour. How does lack of productivity affect their business? If Sally in accounting has to reboot her computer and it's 11:45, almost lunchtime, does she spend 2 to 10 minutes rebooting and then going out for lunch, or does she just knock off early and take an hour and 15 minutes or a 45-minute lunch? Instead of planning to go in and do a network assessment, are you starting with a business analysis? Are you properly understanding the workflow? A good outside sales rep will use this business analysis to properly position the proposal. If they have an internal IT department, then it becomes a technical sale. This is where proof of concept is critical. Again, you need to understand who you're pitching to, though, because it becomes all about the value to the end user. How are you going to make them the rock star? You don't want them to fear that you're going to displace them. Much like the inside sales representative, you should have measurable expectations for the outside sales rep. How many deals are they going to close is a good, easy measurement. But what about account maintenance and retention? Is that their responsibility as well? Because retaining a customer is just as important as getting a net new client. Correct compensation will ensure buy-in and mutual success. Aligning your company's objectives with the financial rewards of sales representatives will aid in the success of the programs. People are always resistant to change, but keeping them appropriately rewarded will assist in consistent buy-in. Constant affirmation and review will be necessary. I have partners who are small, as maybe many of you are, with just themselves, but they still have a meeting every week with themselves, reviewing what they've done for the week, what needs to be done, what worked, what didn't work. So if you have a one-person meeting, at least still have that meeting. Even here at SolarWinds, we do weekly sales reviews, weekly sales training, and as well regular, almost daily meetings with our direct reports. This really helps to ensure that everyone is on board and accountable for what they have committed to. If you also ensure you know where the focus needs to be, right? So that way, if you're knowing where the struggle or where there's training needed or where there's continual pitfalls, you can address these and nip them in the bud early. If everyone is clear on what the company's expectations are, they will align appropriately. People will buy the way they want to buy, right? They're always going to be looking for something that's going to suit their business. You need to position yourself and your offerings to meet this breadth of needs. So you need to make sure that your offerings are flexible, that you're not trying to fit the square peg in the round hole. If your outside sales rep has done their diligence and understand the business, then your proposals will align and reflect the client's wishes. Paint a picture. Show them how you're going to work. Monthly recurring revenue is key. So you can consistently renew contracts or have that revenue coming in on a consistent basis if you're going to show them what you're doing to support them. Show them how you're going to work. What is the difference between what they're currently experiencing and what they experience with you? Attach value to each new experience. This doesn't mean that you're telling them that what you're going to do technically, like deleting temp files or disk space or patching or what RMM you're using, but rather how they're going to have a better work experience. Selling your program value will allow you to garner higher prices and better margins. Throughout our previous webinars, we talked about some of the value that our partners are getting now and getting contracts of up to 36 months. And those are not unrealistic right now because you are selling the value and not the price. We have programs all across from entry-level springboard type programs such as the a la carte strategy where you wrap your services around a specific tool like antivirus, or proactive programs where schedule preventative maintenance, or the brass ring of managed services, which is the fully managed. And if they have an IT department, there's a lot of opportunity here too that are very, very profitable. And it doesn't prevent you from selling your custom services or project work. In fact, it expands upon your revenue that you can gain from these types of organizations. What about security? That's a hot issue right now. Crypto locker and ransomware are very much on the minds of every business owner right now. Are you able to offer specialized security services? How deep can you go in these security services? And how deep do your clients really want you to go? You're not necessarily going to be looking to provide a high-end forensic type of cybersecurity offering, but if a client needs that, you can certainly outsource that. There's organizations out there that can provide that. You just need to broker that deal. You need to be that main point of contact for that, and be able to find them and meet their needs. So aligning the sales strategies with your technical abilities is important, and it really starts with a clear statement of work. The marketing collateral also has to show the client what you're promising. This is going to avoid scope creep. When you're going through the proposal, the client is ready to sign. Ensure you're going through everything that's included and everything that's excluded. Explain how you're going to support them. In fact, they may not see a great deal, but that's okay, because you're not going to be necessarily supporting them physically on site all the time. But if you've defined that in the expectations of how you're going to support them, then that's okay. And you can cover off the stuff that you've done for them over on your regular VCIO visits. And out of the gate, these VCIO visits might be needed to be happen a little more frequently rather than quarterly. It's not outside the norm for the virtual CIO visits to be starting, on a weekly basis. Initially, moving to monthly and bi-monthly, and then quarterly on a regular back end. And making sure that you have your statement of work aligns directly with the sales and your SLAs is going to make things easier when things are being promised. So you're not setting at expectations that your technical team cannot support upon. Whether it's you or your technicians that are supporting the client, you need to make certain you have standardized your processes. You need to ensure that what you're promising can be delivered upon. We hear it all the time that someone has obtained a new client because their last MSP has overpromised and underdelivered. If you sell a fixed fee or proactive style program, you need to baseline that network so you don't find that you're opening up a bag of dog's breakfast. You want to make sure that you are absolutely be able to provide and be doing that in a profitable way. So standardize that network, baseline it, and then you can start to deliver your managed services in a higher end program. Stephanie, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Perfect, awesome. So once you've determined who's going to own that managed services revenue, growth number, you've determined programs, what support packages your team is going to be going to market with. As Tammy said, the next big step in formalizing your go-to-market sales strategy is, who do you plan to target for all of these services? And there's really two paths that can be taken here. We can focus on converting existing customers, those customers that you already do business with in one way, shape, or fashion. Or, if you've been in the game for a little while, you've exhausted your internal customer base and you've completed all of the conversions that you could possibly do, then obviously we need to focus on finding net new clients. And again, which path you decide to go down initially really depends on where you are in terms of your maturity within managed services and the length of time that you've been involved in managed services as a whole. So we'll spend some time looking at go-to-market strategies for both paths. So we'll just start with the easiest one, the path where you look internally and you want to focus on converting existing clients into some sort of recurring revenue monthly contract for yourself. And to help generate leads for this type of initiative, your sales process is going to be a combination of some marketing activities as well as dedicated sales efforts from your sales team. A marketing plan that focuses on customer conversion, it's pretty straightforward. It's simply going to be based on building awareness within your existing business clientele, kind of what Tammy was talking about earlier. We want to let all of your time material clients, your project clients, those customers that just buy hardware, or maybe they buy software from you, they do web development from you, maybe they're involved in other complete different lines of businesses like telephony sales, office furniture and supplies, copy printer sales, what have you. We want to let these clients know that along with everything else that you've been traditionally doing for them, your organization also has a networking division that can manage and care for their internal network that connects all of these other various pieces of technology together. And then the sales process for a customer conversion initiative, it's going to consist of that series of daily activities that are very targeted, very deliberate to help further this awareness campaign. Hence why it's very important to make sure that we're assigning somebody to these types of activities. Because all the marketing in the world is not going to close sales if there isn't someone at the other end actively reaching out, actively contacting your customers who might be a good fit for your services. And then in the same way, you know, warm calling alone from your inside sales would benefit greatly from an awareness building type of outreach campaign. And the typical approach when converting existing clients, you know, it's not about building a big, elaborate, expensive, you know, extensive marketing campaign that's really focused on the hard dials of cold calling. Really, you just want to focus on letting your existing customers know that you have a new service to offer. And so doing simple things like making sure your website is up to date. Things like, you know, when customers are calling in, you have to put them on hold, making sure you update your hold messaging with managed services. Simple things like updating your email signatures for everyone in the organization. If you send out regular invoices, putting a little tagline on the invoice each month. Obviously then making sure that you have brochures and printed material created to support the different programs that you're going to market with. And, you know, if you're the business owner, what I have seen work very effectively is sending out a personalized email or a letter to your existing client base explaining this new division or the new direction that your company has taken. And then in terms of your sales efforts, you know, again, this is where we need to have that dedicated MSP sales rep, inside salesperson, appointment setter, you know, however we want to call them, because we need to have that person contact every person in your organization to set up, you know, that what's new meeting with themselves. Or set it up for the business owner if you are in the position to have some sort of inside sales appointment setter. But in determining and who to call first, so you want to create this hot list of your most valuable clients that you want to reach out first, because if you have a large base of existing clients, then, you know, obviously we can't just start at A and start working our way down. We want to be somewhat methodical about this. So we want to create our A list, then your B list, your C list, and in terms of who do we want to call first, you know, some good criteria, you know, looking at those clients that have a high monthly reactive break-fix spending that maybe you can help normalize for them and also help guarantee this revenue stream for yourself. We want to look at clients that are a little bit larger, you know, maybe 10 employees or more if you're looking for a size criteria, but you want to make sure that they don't already have an internal IT department. You know, as Tammy mentioned previously, you know, that's a different messaging, and that's a whole other different type of marketing plan. Ideally, we like them to have at least one server, so a more sophisticated network, and maybe they reside in verticals where they have to adhere to some specific compliancy standards, like maybe they're in healthcare and they need to conform to HIPAA, or maybe they accept credit cards, which everybody does, so maybe they fall underneath PCI compliance. So as a result, these companies could really benefit from some sort of managed services type of engagement. Maybe you know or are aware that they have some sort of technology budget. And so when first going to market, it is going to be easier to schedule those calls with these existing customers first. Again, doing some sort of what's new account review type of meeting, because we want to find out what is new at their company. We want to take this interest in them. But again, we also want to use this opportunity to talk about what's new at your company, specifically, you know, your foray into managed services. And again, the goal of this first meeting, we don't want to sell them anything right out of the gate. We don't want to sell them into a monthly program right out of the gate. We want to offer them or present the idea of a complementary network health assessment, security risk assessment. Tell them that you're offering this as an appreciation of their ongoing loyalty to your organization. And this assessment initiative, a very critical component to the overall managed services sales process. Whether we're going after existing clients or whether we're going after brand new clients. By including that assessment at the beginning of the sales cycle, it's going to allow you to get a better understanding of that client's environment. It's going to allow you to uncover issues that might need addressing, issues that could potentially, in the beginning, hopefully, lead to some additional billable project work for you. It's also going to help protect you from financial loss and help mitigate your risk before a managed services contract is even signed on the dotted line. So we really strongly advise you not to skip this step. And to help, you want to make sure that you have the proper tools in place to help automate the assessment process for you so that it can be completed quickly, completed easily for you, and you want to be able to generate some good, detailed, professional-looking reports to present to your customers, because you're going to need to rely on them to help justify the recommendations to any sort of network improvements that you might want to make, or to help justify why they should enroll in one of your monthly plans with you. And also, by including the network assessment at the beginning of the sales process, it's going to go a long way in helping to shorten your sales cycle, because it's going to provide that definitive end date of a yay or a nay, so that you can close out and move on from any clients that may not initially be interested in something right now with you. And again, having these reports be automated for you is really going to be key, because as you get going with your sales process, if your appointment setter is booking, 2 to 3 appointments a week for you, you don't want to be manually assessing networks and manually writing reports. So you want to have a templated format in place to help for you and to help with, whoever's on the tech side in the NOC. So making sure that you have your RMM, making sure you have your reporting toolkit in place is going to go a long way in helping you to assist with this part of the sales process. And, so because we strongly encourage building the assessment process into the sales cycle, some initial collateral that you may want to bring to your initial meetings with your customers is a sample network assessment report. You're offering this as a complimentary activity, as a loyalty measure. So just bring a sample copy, from your own network maybe, of what the assessment is going to look like. Maybe provide or bring a sample quarterly or monthly executive summary reports. As Tammy mentioned, the VCIO component is extremely important as you get going in managed services. So maybe bring some sample reports to show them, that you're more than just looking after their network. You want to be transparent. You want to be accountable. And then if you have been supporting them for a while in a break-fix type of fashion, then maybe bring a spending analysis with you and show them the amount of money they're spending in an ad hoc way, whereas if we can do the assessment and then move them into a managed services monthly agreement, they're spending the money anyways. Let's just have them spend it in a wiser and smarter way with you. And these items are very important to bring with you to these initial meetings, because managed services is very intangible. And so having concrete examples like a sample report package, like spending analysis, it's going to go a long way in helping to make things relevant to your customer and bring a level of tangibility to the overall sales process. And although the advantage of targeting your existing clients is, they know you, hopefully they like you, they like being in business with you, and hopefully they're going to be more receptive to hearing of your new services, versus someone that doesn't know you from Adam, there are going to be some obstacles that may present themselves that you should be preparing yourself for. If you're new, if you've been in the business for a while, then these probably resonate well with you. For many of our MSPs, the traditional sales model historically has been mainly centered around selling a product or selling something tangible like a project upgrade, a hardware refresh, or maybe selling break-fix services where they call, you go and fix it, you tell them your hourly rate, and maybe there's some haggling being done. But in this new model of selling services, we don't have anything definitive or concrete that we can show. So we have to somehow transition ourselves to this new form of sales, one that works to insert yourself, as Tammy went on before, as that trusted advisor, the consultant, that strategist for the organization. And the roadblocks many face come from having to now show value for your enhanced network management programs and presenting a completely different type of support offering, probably to an uneducated type of client if no one's ever approached them about this managed services concept before. And a lot of times when working to convert existing clients into a monthly contract, the issue comes up around, how do we present a new value when the client is under the impression that we're doing fine, that things are great in this traditional break-fix model? It becomes a sticky situation in trying to position yourself in this new form of support services without making it seem that you really haven't been doing your job as well as you could have in the past. And so there's a mind shift that needs to take place on both sides of the fence, not only for you and the MSP, but with the client as well. And it comes from trying to make that transition into managed services and trying to effectively communicate the value and present the value of the offerings that you want to propose to them. So will the old model of selling, that's focused on technology and project feature sets survive? Unfortunately, most likely not. And if you can't just offer hourly rates, then the challenge becomes then how do you really sell? And again, as Tammy spoke about earlier, it is really all about building relationships. We want to formulate these relationships early on. We want to strive to insert ourselves as that trusted advisor. And I know a lot of times it's a lot easier said than done. And so in trying to become that trusted advisor, this is where we do need to reach out to our existing clients. We need to talk to them. We need to schedule these what's new meetings, these account meetings, and get them talking about themselves, their market, their business, their industry, the challenges that they're seeing within the industry. We need to find out what's important to them from a critical business activity standpoint and align ourselves to their business goals and their business expectations and focus on how we can help them achieve their overall business objectives. And again, honestly, in the beginning, this is going to be an obstacle for a lot of new MSPs, and it's still an obstacle today for MSPs that have been in the arena for a while, because the tendency can be to revert back to that comfort zone and to talk technical and to talk features. But ultimately what that prospect is looking for is, how is this going to help me? How is this going to benefit me in the end? And that's really the objective for you, is being able to demonstrate the difference between your outdated, that reactive break-fix model, and get them to see how it's really hampering their business success today, comparing it to your new proactive management model that you really want to talk to them about and show them how it's going to improve their overall effectiveness for their organization. And this is only going to happen by having these meetings and getting that open dialogue going with that. So now we want to change our focus, focus on net new clients and finding net new clients for the organization. Admittedly, this is going to be more of a challenge, and this is when a more comprehensive and focused marketing plan is going to be required with a more dedicated sales effort to get that initial success. There's no silver bullets, unfortunately, when it comes to marketing, but it's rather a consistent and concerted effort through regular and ongoing outreach using a variety of different things, a variety of different methods to help build your brand and build the awareness within your marketplace. So when starting to build a go-to-market strategy focused on finding net new clients, this is when you do want to ask yourself, who do you plan to target? Who's going to be a best fit for your managed services business? With the customer conversion strategy, you already had the clients. The goal there was just to see if we can reach out to them, increase the share of wallet they had with you, turn some ad hoc spending into more guaranteed revenue, and create that stickiness with them through a monthly contract in order to make it difficult for them to go elsewhere. But when it comes time to finding net new clients, Here you want to be more selective, and here you can outline and really, again, be methodical as to which types of organizations you truly want to do business with. And having a good understanding of that ideal client profile is going to go a long way in helping to provide the direction to your marketing and sales team and ensure that cycles aren't being wasted trying to win over clients who may not be the best fit. So in looking at what makes a good MSP client, our most successful MSPs leverage and use some very specific criteria when pursuing new clients. First of all, they do research. They look at company reputation. How long has the prospect been in business? What's their financial stability, their standing, their creditworthiness? Looking at their size, looking at their overall network sophistication. Again, looking at clients that have probably 10 or more employees and at least one server. Looking at vertical market space, looking at clients that typically reside in professional services, again, have to comply against certain compliancy standards, HIPAA, PCI. They have a heavy reliance on their network. They look at what the impact, the downtime would be on the organization. So these organizations tend to have a higher sensitivity to downtime when it does occur. Looking at things like, do they have an IT budget, or are they willing to create some sort of IT budget? So by really looking at these set of criteria, we do want to spend some time painting a picture of that ideal client profile. And committing to these client standards is important because it can mean the difference between establishing like a strong, growing, mutually beneficial business relationship with those clients, or being obligated to deliver services contractually to difficult, slow-paying, noisy clients that really don't value the time, the dedication, the effort required at your end to support the infrastructure and their users. And by defining these from the outset and enforcing these minimum client standards, it's going to provide you with that freedom to say no and to not accept clients into your managed service programs if they're not going to be a good fit. And I know that's hard to say, and that's a hard pill to swallow, to say no to a certain type of business. But by being selective in who you want to target, it's really going to allow you to be more focused from a marketing perspective and be more focused from a sales, and allow you to create a more relevant and tailored marketing message. And of course, it's always easier to sell to your prospect when they've experienced some sort of crisis and they've experienced some sort of pain. And using, scare tactics in your marketing material, it can resonate, with whoever your target group is that you're going after, and make them more receptive to, reading your marketing material and maybe accepting your phone call when you reach out. Again, as Tammy mentioned earlier, we're seeing a lot of partners build marketing and sales campaigns around cybersecurity, data loss. CryptoLocker is still being a pain today. And the new variants that seem to be released almost daily is prompting a lot of partners to build educational style marketing campaigns that serve to educate their customers that they really need to invest in a good security and data protection program. Because unfortunately, it's no longer if the customer gets hit with something like CryptoLocker, more about when they're going to get hit. And when that happens, you want to make sure that your customers have a good data protection and recovery plan in place that's going to allow them to restore their systems quickly, get their files and folders, and really get them back to business as soon as possible. So once you've determined your ideal client profile, bringing this slide back, you then need to start formulating your marketing plan and begin filling that sales funnel. Going back to this lead gen slide, no silver bullets when it comes to marketing. There's a lot of different activities, a lot of different methods that can be leveraged, that can be used, and using a variety of different methods in a regular and ongoing and continuous and purposeful manner is going to be key. And then aligning your sales success, ensuring that whoever is going to be assigned to the sales function, that they're tasked with doing regular outreach to your target market. And we understand, again, our partners don't have big budgets for elaborate marketing campaigns. Oftentimes, people within your organization they're wearing multiple hats. They don't have the luxury of having a dedicated marketing person on staff. So the next couple of slides, I just want to present some realistic marketing activities that we've seen work with other partners to help get you started, especially if you don't have a lot of previous experience in a marketing capacity. And these activities aren't terribly expensive, but they really do require an investment of time and commitment in terms of the execution. And if you can do this, then hopefully you're going to get some initial success in helping you fill up that sales funnel. So when beginning to build out your marketing plan, one important and universal activity, no matter what direction your marketing plan takes, is to gather testimonials, gather case studies from your existing clients. Leveraging your existing clients is going to help you win new clients. So we can select, 5 to 10 existing clients, tell them that you're updating your website, and you would love to have a few positive words from them that you could post to your website that speaks about your support services and what their expectations have been like in working with you and your organization. If they're busy, as a lot of businesses are, offer to write it for them if they don't have the time, and then just have them say yay or nay and just vet it. And then post this as a case study or testimonial to your website and use the quotes and add them to any of your printed material like your fly sheets and your brochures. And speaking of your website, honestly, when was the last time it was updated? Does it even speak about your network support services division? If your website currently doesn't highlight the fact that you are involved in managed services and you have a network management division, then maybe make it a project plan at the beginning to get these enhancements created before you do a full-fledged marketing launch. And you don't want your website to outline, and we've seen this, your different packages, your programs, your pricing. Please don't do that. Your prospects are just going to be confused by it. It's really your job as a sales team and your job from the NOC side to do the assessment, to bring these two assessments together and propose something to the client and talk to them and talk about why you're proposing and how it's going to benefit and alleviate whatever their business concerns are. What you really want your website to highlight are issues and concerns that are relevant to whoever your target profile client is, and discuss how your organization can help them address, eliminate, and resolve these concerns. So again, going back to, how can you prevent malware and ransomware attacks? Very relevant today. How can you plan for and protect against data loss in the event of a disaster? Very relevant today. What if your in-house IT person quits? So you want your managed services section of your website to promote these types of benefits that your support services and your solutions can provide without having to highlight, all the nitty-gritty of all your programs and your pricing. And again, the theme of leveraging existing clients, you might want to consider creating and implementing a structured referral program. And you want to work to ensure that your team members and marketing outreach continually promote this program to your existing clients. Admittedly, this isn't going to be a big activity that's going to funnel huge leads into your sales funnel, but if you have a structured plan and it's regularly promoted to existing clients, it can go a long way in helping funnel some new names, a couple of names each quarter into your sales team for your sales team to engage with. It's all about keeping the sales funnel fresh with new leads. Other items that we've seen work with our partners, doing a monthly email newsletter, sending it to both existing clients and new prospects that get entered into your sales database each month through the inside sales activities. This is going to help keep your organization top of mind. It's going to provide that recurring touch point to everyone, whether you do it every month or every quarter, but really it's going to help serve to continually reconnect you with those customers and prospects who may not be ready to do business with you just yet, but maybe through something like an email newsletter, you can use it to continually help educate them, all in the mind of driving value and helping to build credibility within the mind of your target. Again, going back to that trusted advisor terminology. And along with the same line of thinking, you want to provide ways to continually work to educate that prospect base. So again, we have partners that will send out, security alerts, types of cautionary warnings where, there might be a new variant of CryptoLocker that they should watch out for, or maybe there's a bad patch or an update from Windows, or maybe a piece of hardware or software is about to be deprecated. It's really, again, creating content that matters to your target market and communicating it to them on a semi-regular basis. So your marketing, you're doing your outreach, you're building awareness, you're getting your name out there, but your marketing also becomes a source of information to them that they can use and hopefully give them a really good reason to reach out and call you. And Tammy talked about this earlier. We are beginning to see kind of resurgence in this lunch and learn, or having a webinar and inviting customers and prospects to it. And some of the best benefits of doing this is, and what I think is the best one, is it gives your marketing material and your outbound sales activities a definitive focus and a purpose. As everything you do, all your touch points to your prospect and customer base is going to be towards promoting and populating this webinar. And it's going to allow you some efficiencies where you can do kind of a one-to-many approach, and it's going to ensure that all your prospects hear that same message and provide you with the opportunity, hopefully, to book follow-up appointments directly from that. And don't be pressured that these have to be huge, elaborate events. Sometimes having a more intimate gathering of maybe 8 to 12 prospects could actually be more worthwhile for you, as people do tend to be more open in speaking in smaller groups. Or if you are targeting a specific industry or vertical, maybe offer to do some speaking engagements, if you don't mind doing something like this, at local trade association meetings. So you can go out and maybe research what trade associations exist in your area. Give them a call. Tell them that you have a topic that you think their members would be keenly interested in. Again, something that would be relevant to them. And then these members that attend could become potential prospects for you to speak to afterwards. And no matter what marketing activities you ultimately decide to go to market with, to promote, any marketing that goes unsupported without someone actively reaching out and engaging with them is not likely going to net you a whole lot of net new contracts. Marketing, although very necessary, it's a passive activity. It's really, again, just designed to educate your prospect base and build that brand awareness. But what is needed to support your sales team is that outreach. And marketing will help in terms of building that awareness. So when creating your marketing pieces, a couple of things to keep in mind. You want to make sure that every form of outreach contains some sort of call to action. You want to design your marketing plan so that it leaves your prospects wanting more. Encourage, incentivize your customers to contact your organization to find out more about your services and solutions. Don't be afraid to test your marketing collateral to see if it conveys the correct message that you want it to convey. Test it with family, test it with friends, test it with other good acquaintances within your social and business circles that are not technical, and see if they understand. And try and tailor the message as much as possible to the group that you're targeting. Again, if you're targeting a specific industry, make sure the issues and the concerns you highlight in the material are relevant to that industry. And as you begin implementing your marketing initiatives, we want to make sure that we're following up on all the leads that are generated. We want to track and measure the progress and determine how successful the various activities are, so that we can properly evaluate and see what's working and maybe see what's not working so well, so that we can maybe fine-tune it for the next time. Because we can't control what we don't measure, and marketing is not a set it and forget it type of initiative. So our partners that do this regularly, they're tracking things like, who's opening emails, the alerts, the newspapers, what articles are they clicking on in your email newsletter, website stats, looking at the number of inbound calls that come from some sort of direct marketing outreach, the number of initial meetings, the assessments, the proposals that are generated, and then ultimately, what the close rate of each campaign is. And then finally, processes and procedures need to be put in place around who is going to implement the sales contract once you've won that new customer, who's going to be engaging with the customer on a regular and ongoing basis, so that we can provide that accountability, provide that transparency. And ultimately, we want to ensure that the client is completely satisfied with the partnership that you've established. And again, on the technical front, This is where you want to ensure that your technical team is keeping up with the technology, leveraging all the features and functionality of the RMM solution, especially as your marketing and sales team are ramping up and they're beginning to get into the groove of getting new contracts coming on board. You want to make sure the Knox side is utilizing the automation aspects of the solutions to create efficiencies at their end, because as you get going, there's not going to be any time for manual activities, and your contract profitability levels won't tolerate an overabundance of manual tasks, especially when you have a tool that can do the majority of the work for them. So just as we would encourage you to do on the sales side with your weekly meetings, we want to encourage you to ensure that you've implemented regular technical team meetings to ensure that the tech side is keeping up with the focus that you need them to. And by ensuring the regular tech meetings, you might start weekly in the beginning, maybe move to bi-weekly after a while. You need these meetings because it could possibly help to uncover training needs and maybe bring to the forefront any resistance that maybe your tech team may have early on before opinions and bad habits start to set in. Because unfortunately, and all too frequently it seems, we see the technical team sabotage a new initiative by not being on board with the business owner's decision to invest in a tool or a direction like managed services. And this can lead to you as a business owner having to make that tough decision. If you've invested in something to help better your business, then everyone needs to be on board, or you may have that tough decision to try and find other team members who are willing to fulfill your vision. And on the sales implementation side, again, we talked about this, I think, ad nauseum, making sure that we have the VCIO activities mapped out and scheduled with each customer throughout that year, because it's important to continue to work to cement yourself as that trusted advisor. And we want to commit to these activities. We want to make sure that we don't get sidetracked and push them off. Because if you're spinning your wheels trying to bring new clients into the organization, we just don't want to lose them on the back end. So making sure that you've built in and you're committing to regular VCIO meetings is going to be incredibly important. So coming back to this slide, this homework slide, as you're beginning to plan your own go-to-market sales strategies, always best to do some sort of customer or prospect segmentation first to see where your best opportunities exist. So when the presentation gets sent out, definitely use this to kind of help you from the homework implementation perspective. So that wraps up today's webinar, Formalizing Your Go-to-Market Strategy. I know we've talked about a lot of different concepts at a high level here. If you would like assistance in creating a more tailored marketing plan specific to your marketplace, to your organization, please don't hesitate to reach out to your dedicated channel sales specialist for help. This is what we're here for, to help you with that, to drive your success, because it's only if you're successful that SolarWinds MSP is successful. And we've gone through a lot of territory changes over the last couple of months, so if you don't know who your channel sales specialist is, either let Tammy or myself know, and we can put them in touch with you. So I guess we'll turn it over. Time for a few questions. I know we ran a little bit long.
Thanks, Stephanie. And as to what Stephanie said, here's our contact information if you're not sure who your representative is. So yeah, we do have a few questions here. So I'm going to go ahead and